decided to talk today more about relationships than the other things that we've been doing. So there's 6 different points that hopefully I'll be able to cover in 27 minutes. Okay, so relationship is a process, not a purpose. Okay, so relationship is not the goal, but it's the beginning of the process, because having a relationship is a continuous process of investment. So it's not like you have a partnership, you get married, you're in business together, and that's the end. That's actually the beginning. Most people have in their mind that they're married and now everything is fine. It's exactly the opposite. So we need to realize that a relationship doesn't end with the definition of the wedding or the partnership or whatever. What it really means is that we are engaging in a lifetime, hopefully, or as long as we see fit for us, of a process where we create and develop the relationship. So having a relationship is a commitment to working. It's really working on it. And we can go back and use the example of Isaac and Rebekah from the Bible, where it's telling us that he chose her, he developed a relationship with her, and then he loved her. So how can it be? Because usually, you have to have the sparks and the love and all of that. So we learned something very, very important here, that through that love is the result of a union, is a result of a partnership, because love is not a given. You can't have love that you didn't work for. It just doesn't happen like that. You have to work for it. And the more intense the work will be greater and the love will be stronger. But the relationship, of course, has to be from both sides. So these relationships of working on it and actually investing in each other will end up in a wedding because something happened. And now you can feel confident enough to get married. But it's not the other way. A lot of people think it's the other way. That, oh, wow, I'm in love, everything is great, it fits, we complete each other, and now we're going to get married, and then we're done. No. So it's a process that is going to grow and become stronger every day. Questions? So the ups and the downs of a relationship can actually contribute to unity between the two of you, even if there's fighting and there's screaming. If there's no real contradiction, but it's about growth together, or it's about things outside of the two of you. If you're fighting all the time, and it's also with a business partner, if you're fighting all the time from a wrong place of competing with each other, or your basic values are different from each other, then that's an issue. But if you're fighting so that you can grow and you can see each other's side, then it's healthy. So actually you can have no relationship if you don't invest in it. Same with children, by the way. If you don't invest in a relationship with your child, it's not given. It's not given that they're going to love you back just because you're their mother. It doesn't happen. You have to invest in it. And especially when they get to be older, because then they're actually people. Then they don't need you anymore. Then you have to invest in it even more. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one is the ability to elevate above the illusion of the 1%, which we are always stuck in. So what's the 1% in a relationship? It's the attraction, right? So attraction is something that if you don't know by now, it fades away with years. You don't have the same attraction that you did when you were 20 or even 30. So, I always compare it to like being a tourist than living in a place. When you're a tourist, everything looks amazing. When you live there, you see all the flaws, you know where not to go, you know what to avoid. It's the same thing. So what we don't realize is that every woman on earth wants to be a princess, right? She wants to be beautiful, she wants to be a queen, but I'm not sure that a princess or a celebrity would really want to be able to go out on the streets every day and be who she is, right? Because paparazzi, and you really can't be who you are. So what you're attracted to, and once let's say you're engaged or you sign a contract, is totally different from what you had in the beginning. Because in the beginning it was attraction, and it's good, you have to have attraction. I'm not saying you shouldn't have attraction, but then the focus becomes on the internal energy and not what you think you were attracted to. Then the focus becomes on, okay, let's get over all the illusion. We're down to reality and what's inside. And what's inside is what's important. What's inside is where we sometimes fall. What's inside is, okay, after the illusion, what's left? Am I really attracted to it? Or was I disillusioned? And that's when you need to start thinking, okay, am I going to invest in this or is this not for me? And I've seen it even in business partnerships where in the beginning everything is amazing and it goes really well, and then all of a sudden you start seeing the flaws in each other. And it's not such a good business relationship. And unless you catch it and you sit down and you talk about it, and if it's supposed to not be there anymore and dissolve, it will dissolve. But at least be real with yourself and with your partner that, okay, illusion's over, I've been with you for a year, 2 years, 6 months, whatever, now you know the person. You actually know the person. That's when you need to go inside. That's when you need to go inside and say, okay, is this who I want to be with for the rest of my life? Is this someone that I'm not just attracted to physically, but I can actually internalize and I like the inside? That's where the growth comes. So, like people are saying, well, my soulmate, but we look at each other and we understand each other, we have a deep conversation, we believe that saying, all that is actually, we can say everything and, no one will get hurt, but can that person actually be with me for the rest of my life? Or can this business grow and flourish with the two of us together? And that's what we need to ask ourselves. That's where we need to get out of the, 1% and say, okay. So there's many times we look at the reality and we say that we're spiritual people. So the 1% is not important to us and it's irrelevant, but it's not true. Because we all need to remember that, we're not righteous. We're not, we're here. We're not angels. We're still here. So yes, it's important. Because the way a person is carrying himself in the world indicates his capacity, his desire, how he treats the Creator, how he has his internal relationships with spirituality. The way a person acts physically is the same way he acts spiritually. There's no difference. There's no, okay, I'm going to lose my temper here, but here I'm fine. There's no such thing. A person is a person all across the board. If you have an issue in a certain area in your life, you have that issue all across the board. It's not like, I'm really nice and quiet here, but then I'm going to go out the door and I'm going to blow up at the person in front of me. No, that means that it's there the whole time. You just maybe suppress it because you're embarrassed, but it's there. It doesn't change. And it will, most of us don't change. Most of us still have our stuff and we're still working on them. But when you're at the beginning, you can think, okay, is this who I want to be with? This person who lies, is angry, screams, whatever it is. Because you can't convince yourself that you're going to fix them. It doesn't happen. Nobody fixes anybody. There's a lot of women who think, okay, I'm going to get married to him and then I will be able to manipulate him and I'll be able to fix him and It doesn't happen. Person stays a person. And so that's where we need to fall out of the illusion of the beginning of the butterflies and everything is nice and dandy. And this issue is really more for women than men. Men don't really have that issue. What you see is what you get, just so you know. What you see in a man is what you get. They don't really hide anything. Everything is out there. If you choose to believe it or not, that's your problem. But it's out there. It's on the table, and if you choose to be blind, they never hide anything. They are who they are. So the power of the woman is to be able to see what she can manifest with this person. And not to think that you can change them, but what can you manifest with them? Or if it's a business partner, or whoever it is, what can you manifest with them? Not living in La La Land saying, when we get married, or when we sign the contract, or when I know them better. It is what it is. So trust yourselves. But then there's the third point of all is possible. You can do anything. So what does that mean? Because we are engaged, I've never spoken so fast in my life. Because we are engaged in a relationship, we have a lot in our imagination about how things should be. We have, since we were little girls, I knew somebody who has a book, seriously has a book since she was 5 of how she wants her wedding to look and what dress and, the pictures and the collages and all that stuff. When you wish for yourself to have a partner or a dream child or, a husband, a lot of times it doesn't happen. So everybody wants to be a good parent. Everybody wants to be, maybe married to somebody who's, sexy and intelligent and smart and nice. But nobody thinks that it's not going to happen that way. We all live in that illusion that anything is possible. We need to know the limitation of our perceptions. That what we wish for and what we want might not always happen. And consciousness of that means that through the work, I can create the reality. But it's not just going to fall into our laps. And, like I always say, if you want someone who looks good, who's nice, who's sexy, and who's rich, take a poster of the actor that you like and put it on the wall and you can look at it every day. But it's not reality. Reality is our consciousness has to be building the relationship. Has to be, yes, we can do, anything is possible when we invest. It means that when we can be in a state of being open to any kind of relationship, to any form of connection, then anything is possible. But when we have this list of this is what I want, and these are the 30 attributes that I need to have in a relationship, and if you don't give up on those, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. If at some point you don't compromise and say, okay, I'm not 15, and I'm not 20, and I'm not 30. So what are you willing to invest in? What is your consciousness when you go into it? And what are you not willing to give up? Like we spoke about it last week, I think, about the boundaries. What are you not willing to give up? So when we are speaking about being open, we need to know that there's a very good possibility that not everyone in the world is going to meet the actual person that they, thought of in their mind. And usually, it's the exact opposite. Usually, it's the exact opposite of what you thought you would get married to or be in a relationship with. It's not what you dreamt of when you were 5 or 10 or 15. And that's where we need to be open. That's where we need to think, okay, it's important that I remember that there are possibilities that I don't even know exist. Everything is out there and I don't know. Maybe there's, an ocean of people that are under my nose that I've never seen. That I've never even, acknowledged that they're in front of me. Once we open our minds to that, then anything is possible. Then you can go back and say, okay, what did I want to manifest in a relationship? And see if that's still something in reality, not in La La Land. There's another point that's really, really, really important. The relationship is always secondary to your life. Never give up your life because you want a relationship. Ever. 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 Not in business, not in partners, not in marriage, not in anything. Your life is important. If you go into a relationship broken, it's not going to work. Same thing with business. If you go into a business with somebody because you want them to, fulfill something that you can't fulfill, it's not going to work. Eventually, it will fall apart. So the relationship is secondary to what I want to do in my life. What's my life purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? If you know what you're supposed to be doing, don't stop doing it because you're in a relationship. If you go out with someone and you give up on spirituality and you give up here and there, it doesn't happen all at once. You give up here and then you give up there and then you give up. And then all of a sudden, you're just in a relationship. And then you've just given over your whole life. And there's no reason for it. There's boundaries. So it's like having a mission statement for an organization. And if our mission statement, let's say, is to remove chaos, right? Or to transform people's lives. I can't decide tomorrow morning that I'm going to leave everything because I just met this amazing person. You can't do that. The relationship will grow and will help you become stronger if it's something that enhances everything else in your life. And the same with the other side. If they give up everything just to be in a relationship, it means that you didn't have anything concrete to begin with. So can we be with someone that's not spiritual or not growing the same way we are? Can we be with someone who wants to be successful but doesn't really want any part of any spirituality, we have to ask ourselves those questions. And if a person, and it doesn't mean that they have to follow the same spirituality that you follow, but they have to have something. Because if they're just going to be in business and working hard and bringing the money, you will always feel a lack, and that person will never fulfill it anyway. That's why if you give up on who you are and you give up on what your goals are in life, you won't be happy. You're convincing yourself that it's okay. You're compromising. But it's even more than compromising, because let's say you get married to this person and you have children. You know what's going to happen? At 18, bye-bye, and you're left with somebody and you have no life. Nobody wants that. Or in a business, you get to a point where, you know, you're cruising, but it's not really growing, and then all of a sudden you realize that you're both in this partnership that's not really working, because you're just kind of fulfilling each other's needs, but not really. It's comfortable because you don't want to rock the boat, and that will fall apart too. So never give up who you are, what your goals are, what you want to get out of life, and what you want to give to life because of a relationship. And you have to watch yourselves, because it happens like that. If you make the relationship the only thing important, most important thing in the world is your connection to the Creator and what you want to give to the world. After that, as you are a whole person, you can approach the relationship with a person, with a partner, with a business partner, with whoever it is. Even with your children. Even with children, you have to come from a point of, okay, this is who I am. You know, there are mothers who the babies are the center of their world instead of the baby being part of their world. When you make your baby the center of your world, you've just given up your life. And there's no reason. Like the ones who stay at home because the baby has to sleep in quiet. I never understood that. My kids slept under tables while there were hundreds of people around. Because if you make that the center of your world, then you've just given up who you are. And again, like I said, 18 years at the most, and that's it. So don't give up on who you are for anything. For anything. Next point is the ability to bring balance through the relationship to every aspect of your life, which is very much connected to what we were just talking about. Because one of the things that I learned is that sometimes the relationship can disconnect you from your life. It disconnects you from your friends, from your life. We hear stories about people that will fall in love and then they stop seeing their friends. They disconnect from everybody around them. Why? Because that became so important that if that person doesn't like this person, then goodbye, I'm with my partner and I forget about all my friends. Can't be. Because now you have this special person in your life and you forget about everything else. So this amazing thing, you have to actually have a true and valuable relationship that enhances, that strengthens, that helps you be more with your friends, be more with your family, be more out there, be more social, not just him and you or the partner or whatever it is. So the whole idea of a true relationship is not to satisfy a specific need. It's because then it becomes an addiction. Then you're not in love, you're not in a relationship, you have an addiction. You have an addiction to this person or this partner because it's not real. Because if it wasn't an addiction, it wouldn't disconnect you from the rest of your world. It wouldn't disconnect you from your friends. It wouldn't disconnect you from your goals. It wouldn't disconnect you from anything. If a relationship is disconnecting you from something, it's not real. So we always have to focus on what's the potential? What's the potential that can come out of this relationship? What can we do together? And you know, we used to teach a long time ago about the triangle. So you have the man, the woman, and the creator in the middle. If it's always just this, and it's always about the two people, nothing will grow from it. If you have the creator in the picture, then both of you together are going to share. Both of you together are going to create something. So if it's always about me and him, it'll never grow, it'll never work, you'll never be able to do anything. It's just constricting you. And the last point is no time, space, and motion. So we always talk about no time, space, and motion. So one of the qualities of a true relationship and it can be true, of course, for any kind of relationship, is that two people wish and would love to be together all the time, but it's not necessary for them to be together all the time. Meaning that you don't need to be with your partner 24 hours a day to know what your purpose is in your life, to know that you love each other, to know, it's okay not to be together. And it's okay not every night to spend with this person. And it's okay to be with other people, friends. So you don't need to be in the same space with that person all the time to be connected. And people think that they do. People think that if they're not every single night with this person, that something is going to happen. And if they think that, then there's no relationship. There's no relationship there. So you don't have to spend what we call, it's more important to spend quality time than quantity time. Because there are people who work, right? They might work all day, and there are people who travel. I know people who are in a relationship and they travel. And they have the best relationship ever. Why? Because they have quality time. Not how much I see you and how much I talk to you and how much I'm with you all day. It doesn't matter. Because again, it's back to not giving up who you are. It's back to investing in a relationship. Not, okay, I'm in love with this person and now we're going to get married and that's it. It doesn't work like that. It's about understanding that the unity and the union of this relationship is a byproduct of each of us being involved and working on ourselves spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally with other people in our lives. It can't just be about two people. It can't. A business won't grow like that. Can you imagine if you had two partners that all day were just with each other and didn't go and try and get clients? That would be terrible. It would just fall apart. So if you're in a place that your friends are telling you that you're working hard and you don't have time for them, and you're actually doing it on purpose because you're avoiding everybody else and just being with this person, you need to think about it. You need to think about it and say, okay, where am I disappearing? Where am I letting myself in my life disappear? And that's all together tied to being whole when you go into a relationship. Being whole when you are looking for a partner. Because if you're going into if you're going into a relationship or you're looking for a partner from a place of lack, it'll never happen. You'll just be miserable all the time. It'll be about trying to fulfill the lack. And nobody can ever do that besides you. Nobody can ever fulfill the void that you have. No relationship in the world can fulfill the void you have. And you have to sit down and say, okay, where is my void and why? And then you can work on it. And then you can go into a relationship. Because I always tell people, if it's just about getting married, that's what you're going to get. You're just going to get married. And that's all it's going to be. But if you're open to, I want to find someone who maybe I didn't even think that I would be with, or I didn't imagine this type, things will open up. And that's where the work comes in. Because really, yes, attraction is important. And all those butterflies and things, of course, is important. But it doesn't last. I give it 6 months, 8 months, 10 months. After that, it's reality. So when you start going out with somebody or when you start a relationship with somebody, think, is this someone that I'm going to be with for the rest of my life? Imagine them when they're 60. You still going to be with them? If you are, great. If not, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. We don't have a lot of time. Time is the only thing we have. That's what we spoke about last week. Time is the only thing we have, and we can't waste it. Okay.